Hello, and thank you for watching this ag forecast for the Canadian Prairie. I'm Andrew Pritchard, Senior Meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, welcome to a cold and gloomy and almost winter-like week across the Canadian Prairie. We're looking at the satellite picture here early on Monday morning, and not any sunshine to be found here as we look across the region. We're seeing some high-level clouds, seeing a lot of that here coming over the Rockies into parts of southwestern Alberta, but you see this kind of lighter area of clouds. I'll go ahead and put this into motion again because you can kind of see the slow meandering motion to it. That's low-level fog or low-level gloom, clouds that are just near the surface or just above the surface. So either cloudy or gloomy or a mix of the two here across the prairie as we get started. And like I said, cold, and -3 in Winnipeg, all the way back to -5, -8 as you make your way back across portions of Saskatchewan and Alberta. Everyone across the prairie into the northern plains here below freezing as we get started on Monday morning. And that's going to be the case here for many of the mornings here, all of the mornings as we head through the next 5 to 7 days with cold air continuing to be dragged south across the region. We'll continue to see chances for some light snow across the region, some heavier snow possible in the higher elevations here as you make your way back into the Rockies across south and west Alberta, and maybe some accumulation here found across some of the lower-lying front range of the Rockies. Not talking about a lot in the way of accumulating snow across the prairie, just chances for flurries accompanying a lot of this cold Arctic air that's spilling into the region. So as we look at the next 5 days, we're looking at temperature anomalies over the next 5 days on the left, and then the ensemble forecast here for total snow through Friday night over on the right. And again, you see temperatures across central and southern Alberta into southern Saskatchewan, 5 to 10 degrees cooler than average, and still 5 degrees or so cooler than average all the way across southern Manitoba. So cold across the entire prairie. And then again, you see the chance for some snow here, but much of the accumulating snow following the storm track a little bit further south. So again, as you make your way further west and south across Alberta down toward the U.S. border in Saskatchewan and Manitoba, you get some chances for accumulating snow on the north side of a storm system that's going to make its way through midweek. But just about everyone across the prairie, at least with the chance for some flurries and maybe a surprise, burst of snow here enough to coat the ground. That's on the table for just about everyone across the prairie. The reason for that, the jet stream alignment like this, we are rather blocked up with a ridge across the North Pacific, across the in the Gulf of Alaska. We got this trough across western Canada into the central U.S., and then another ridge here as we move on off across the North Atlantic. So our pattern right here, driving cold air in across the region, all of the warmth being forced away from the prairie here, cold air coming into the region, but then also the active storm track is going to set up right here. So we'll see storm systems coming ashore across British Columbia, the Pacific Northwest, and then racing from northwest to southeast, generally south of the prairie. That's why we're on the northern edge of some of the heavier accumulating snow that's forecast to arrive here over the next 5 to 7 days, because the storm track generally runs along and south of the Canadian Prairie. So as these storms come through, dropping some of their accumulating snow, it's possible that areas close to the U.S. border pick up some of that accumulating snow. But as you make your way further north, toward Highway 1, toward Highway 16, further north you go, the more you're talking about just some chances for some flurries and a lot less likely that you see any accumulating snow. But this is the pattern over the next 5 to 7 days. We're going to watch this first wave that's made its way through, bringing the cold air that we've got right now, come up and over the top of the ridge and then move on across the Atlantic. And that allows the trough to kind of reestablish itself right here across the Pacific Northwest, across western Canada. So this is the jet stream flow as we get started on Monday morning. Again, very strong flow coming in across the Pacific into British Columbia and the Pacific Northwest. The storm track doing something like that. That's why we get that chance for some accumulating snow along and north of that storm track as we head through the week. Here's the precipitation forecast verbatim from the European operational model getting started on Monday morning. Some of that light snow flurry action going on across southern and western Alberta. That's going to continue through the day, and the chance for some snow flurries making its way into central and southern Saskatchewan as we get into the overnight and tomorrow morning. Some of that light snow can make its way over toward Winnipeg, Brandon, southern portions of Manitoba as we get into late in the day Tuesday afternoon into Tuesday evening. And certainly, the possibility we could end up with a light coating out of that. I don't think anyone's going to get buried by this, but a couple centimeters of some snow here certainly on the table as we make our way through Monday into Wednesday. And then we see a much more organized storm system with the potential to bring some heavy snow to parts of the northern plains, but also on the table again to get some minor accumulations here across southern Alberta and southern Saskatchewan from this storm system just on the northern periphery there. This is Wednesday night making its way into Thursday morning. And Thursday night, this system starts to lift through the Great Lakes and then on into Ontario as we get into Thursday night and Friday. On the backside of that, as we head into the weekend, likely getting another push of very cold air, bitterly cold air, as we move into the end of the week. So as we look at the probability of picking up 3 inches or about 7.5 millimeters of snow between now and Friday night, you see the red shading there, again, hugging the U.S. and the Canadian border as you get into the higher elevations here across southern and western Alberta as well. And then just the ensemble forecast, the ensemble spread here for the total snowfall accumulation. Again, as you make your way further north toward Highway 1, toward Highway 16, we're talking more about snow flurries, chances for light coating. As you make your way down toward the U.S. border, Winnipeg, you're right on that line for some accumulating snow. This would be toward the back half of the week with that second storm system. And then same thing, just straddling the U.S.-Canadian border, you're going to be right on the periphery of that midweek storm system. You could certainly end up with a few inches, a few centimeters of accumulating snow. The total liquid equivalent here, we're looking at total precipitation in millimeters. And again, we're talking about, just a trace as you make your way toward Highway 1, toward Highway 16. You get closer to the U.S.-Canadian border, we're talking closer to 5 to 15 millimeters of total liquid precipitation. Here's what happens with your temperature forecast. Again, we continue to reorganize that trough across the Pacific Northwest and Western Canada as we head into the later part of the week. A shot of cold air, a reinforcing shot of cold air arriving later in the week. So if you think it's cold right now with those high temperatures hovering right around freezing, we'll be talking about highs between -5 and -10 as we head into the end of the week and the weekend. Here's your 10-day temperature forecast in Calgary. Similarly here in Edmonton, we'll look at the cool down here in Regina. You'll see high temperatures right around -1 here as we head through the work week. Overnight lows between -8 and -12 with highs below freezing as we head into the weekend and next week. Saskatoon, same thing. And then here you go in Winnipeg, a little bit less dramatic. Again, we're not seeing quite the cold air here in the eastern portion of the Canadian prairies. We are in the west. Still unseasonably cold, though, and as we head into the weekend, we're still going to be talking about overnight lows between -5 and -10, and then those high temperatures struggling to reach the freezing mark as we head into the weekend and early next week. Have a great day, a wonderful start to your week. We'll be back to talk to you again on Wednesday morning.